Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, a podcast with many firsts going on today. A podcast now hosted by the Sports Social Network, a first for county cricket using the jukebox, a first for the podcast appearing as a question on the Chase last Friday, and a first round of county cricket is in the books, and a hell of a round of cricket. Richard, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, Rob. Welcome. Morning, mate, or evening for you. For those that don't know, Rob's in New Zealand, I'm in England, so it's morning for me. It was a hell of a round, wasn't it? Really interesting stuff. First day, it sort of took a little bit of time to get going, didn't it? But by the end of the first round, we have seen history being made, Rob. I've got to just correct you on one thing. The Chase, that was a repeat. We've been on the Chase twice now.
It was a repeat. As if they do repeats of the Chase.
Oh, I know. I knew the answer. Knew it. So, yeah, she still said ice hockey, that woman in the final Chase, when they asked, what sport does the Leading Edge podcast cover? Ice hockey. All I can think is she's thinking of the blade. Like she probably has visions that you take your boot off and offer up your blade. I don't know, but it's nice to be on a quiz show as a question. Who knows? Maybe we'll be on a quiz show again in the future.
Who knows?
Tease.
You decide. But yeah, very, very exciting stuff going on. County cricket's out. Loads of new signings. We did the preview podcast. They've been received by you guys really well. Thank you very much for that. But there was new signings even before the first day. Thursday rolled around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. for kickoff. First balls. There was changes from the podcast were released on the Monday to who was actually available.
Yeah, people were scrambling, weren't they? One or two injuries, one or two people just trying to get the business in order. But we're just going to quickly cap that off because obviously we did do the previews and they would have excluded this or had a bit of old info now. So Essex first off, they announced signing a big Victorian, Will Sutherland, all 6'5" of him. He's got stress fractures in the lower back. Not a good place to be, so he's not going to be coming across. Essex wasted no time and they've replaced him with Kiwi Doug Bracewell, Rob. He wasn't available for this first round of games, but he is going to be involved in the second round. So yeah, good for him. 32-year-old team. He's recently recalled into the Test sub as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a hell of a pick. He is underrated for his bowling because New Zealand's been such a good performing Test nation for quite a while now, but generally he would have played a hell of a lot more. Also adds good value with the bat. Interesting selection for Essex though, when I look at it and you've got Simon Harmer, you've got Porter, you've got Little Chef, kind of going, where do you kind of want to mix things up? A genuine all-rounder I think would be a good mix, or a top order batter?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move across Northamptonshire. There is a Northampton in Australia. I've driven through it. So that's what they're probably trying to recreate now. So they've already signed Aussie Sam Whiteman, Northants. And now they've brought two more. Well, they've signed two more anyway. So first off, 31-year-old Aussie seamer Chris Tremaine joins for the first three county championship matches, and he was involved straight away this week, and we'll talk about him shortly. He's got a great record, Rob. 170 appearances, 288 wickets at just 24th, 9 5-wicket hauls. That's not a bad signing. If you do recognise his name, he did play for Australia in a few ODIs back in 2016. And also, just to get everything in order, they can complement that signing. They've also signed a fellow Aussie, Lance Morris, another bowler. He's going to be joining for the following three matches. So it's Tremaine for 3, then Lance Morris for 3, and he's a bowler apparently of genuine pace. Bradman Young Cricketer of the Year after Sheffield Shield campaign where he took 31 wickets at just 19 and carried some drinks around in India this winter.
It's a funny old world, eh? You remember cricket, how it used to be, where you signed for the start of the year, and this is, I sound really old, and this is your overseas player for the year. Well, now you've got this guy for 3 weeks, this guy for 4 weeks, this guy's dropping in for a couple of bats, and then it's going to be someone else. But good on them. Northants, they're going to need the support, they're going to need the depth, and they're going to need to take 20 wickets at some stage this year to win games. Yeah,
some good business. Talking of good business, Rob, Surrey are planning ahead. They're really threadbare squad that doesn't expand over 3 pages when we talk about them, bless them. They're going to be without Ollie Pope and Ben Foakes. That's what the expectation is. Twitter agrees that Ben Foakes will be not playing for Surrey, and he will be playing for England after you put out a very polite question. I'm so chuffed with that. It was an overwhelming response of, yes, of course, Ben Foakes will be playing for England in the Ashes. But they've gone and signed vast experience Kiwi Tom Latham for the 5 rounds of the county championship. His first game is not going to be until June the 11th, but whilst the Ashes are on, it makes sense. They've signed a player that can replace the quality of the likes of Pope and Latham. And Latham's not replacing Latham, isn't he? Pope and Foakes, obviously.
Latham's great. World-class opening batsman, one of the best around, averages more than 40 in Test match cricket. Played county cricket before, played a bit at Durham, played a bit at Kent, but overall, decent record, over 1,000 runs, an average of 51 in county championship cricket with three tons. Like, I don't think you could bring in a better opener from anywhere in the world.
No, super signing. The strong just get stronger, don't they? Yorkshire, they're the last one we're going to talk about. So they appointed Shan Masood as captain. Obviously, had a great summer last year, didn't he, with Derbyshire. He's gone across to Yorkshire this year. He's unexpectedly been called up to the limited overs Pakistan squad, so he is going to miss some time. So in order to just kind of cover themselves, they've brought in Shai Hope, the West Indian batter, wicketkeeper. He's going to be playing in the first 3 games, and again, similar to Tremaine, he was playing in this first round of games. So they made the signing last minute, but he's straight in the side and contributing straight away as well.
Yeah, cracking signing, and you'll find out in a few minutes if you've not seen it. Did all right for himself day one.
He did all right. Not a bad player.
Useful. Can do bits.
Analysis.
Is that all the ins and outs? I can't believe we've got ins and outs on week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be like every week, I think. Just lots of shuffling the packs, isn't it, with the international calendar as it is.
Nice. Let's kick into a bit of Division 1 Week 1 review, Rich. Where are we starting off in the country?
We're going to start in Division 1, and I feel bad for doing that because all the big stories are in Division 2. I can't wait to talk about the Leicestershire game and Sussex. Tease, but hell of an impressive performance from them guys. So I'm going to start with the game that finished first. And Rob, you might want to just quickly swap shirts because Notts didn't get off to a particularly good start, did they? So first result of the season came at Ageas Bowl. It was Hampshire Notts, wasn't it? My prediction to win the county championship, Rob, Hampshire overcame newly promoted Nottinghamshire inside 3 days. Largely seam attack, isn't it? We spoke about it before. The combo, Mohammed Abbas, Kyle Abbott, Keith Barker, they combined for 16 wickets in the game, Rob. Fourth seamer James Fuller taking 2 with seamers Felix Organ and Liam Dawson getting 1 apiece in the game. First innings, Abbas 6 for 49. He finished with 9 for the game, Rob. Notts just couldn't deal with the seam attack. It's as simple as that. Notts, talking about their batting, they were held to scores of just 185 and 177 in the game. First innings, Joe Clark 47, Tom Moores 49, not out. The only real resistance with Ben Duckett 51 in 58 and Ben Slater 43 top scoring in their second innings. England hopeful on the Notts side. Ollie Stone took 3 for 82 on his debut. Hampshire 231 in the first innings for them, marginally better than what Notts put up, but they just then cruised to a 7-wicket win, didn't they? They reached the 132 run target, minimal fuss. Nick Gubbins 54 not out, seeing them home. I snuck him on, Rob. I got him on the England watch. I like Nick Gubbins. I've always liked Nick Gubbins.
You got in trouble for that, putting Gubbins on England watch.
Somebody spotted it, but I like Nick Gubbins, and I'm going to put it out there. He's going to have a hell of a summer. I'm talking 1,000 runs plus summer for Nick Gubbins this year. All right, so that's my bold prediction already. The standout performer with the bat though for Hampshire was a 21-year-old opener, which makes it look. When I say his name, it's looking like I've made a typo. But he's called Fletcher. I don't think that's how he says it. I imagine he's way posher than someone saying Fletcher. But it's spelt Fletcher with an A on it. Fletcher Middleton. He's 21. He's a very talented player. He scored 59 and 65. Just his second first-class game, Rob. So sorry, parents of Middleton, Fletcher Middleton. But, I mean, I need an explanation on that name. Might have to go and have a look on Quick Info while you're talking. But yeah, great win for Hampshire. Bad start for Notts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd agree. Hampshire, as you said, best bowling attack in the league last year, second best at the moment. This year, averaging only 18. Mohammed Abbas, world-class operator. He's got an average of about 16 in Pakistan playing domestic cricket over there. For Hampshire, 100 county championship wickets knocked off in this game. An average of 16, strike rate of 43, economy 2.29. His match average is 8.37 runs better than the other bowlers in the match he plays in, and his match strike rate is 10 balls better than the average for the games that he plays in. So that's quite incredible. I watched Fletcher Middleton. I saw quite a bit of him, and I thought he looked real nice. And they've had huge problems, I feel. And it's not the reason they've not won a title with this amazing bowling attack, but it exacerbates it that Holland, Weatherly and Felix Organ just hasn't quite worked out for the last few years. Hopefully he might fill it in. Father Tony Middleton played for Hampshire as well and is still involved there. Can't remember the role. I did see it on Twitter. I think the big turning point for me was Kyle Abbott's second spell. Picked up Joe Clark, picked up Lyndon James, both for a duck. It really solidified Hampshire's position in what was quite a tight game at times. I thought Joe Clark actually looked quite good in the first innings. He's come under a bit of slack. He's not averaged 40 in a season since 2017, back in his Worcestershire days. Had a better year overseas after a few down years in T20 cricket. I thought he looked pretty decent in this, and potentially like he's going to score a few more runs during the season than he has done the last few seasons as of late.
Yeah, Notts might need it with the way they perform, not getting 200 in both innings. That's quite worrying. I mean, obviously, you duck it at the top, quality performers. But, they just felt like it was missing a little bit of something. The seam attack as well of Notts. When you look at what Hampshire has done with the ball in this game, why haven't Notts attacked? You've got Dane Patterson, Luke Fletcher, Ollie Stone, etc. It's a little bit of concern. We don't want to get panicked too soon, do we? Or just yet. But impressive from Hampshire. It's simple as that. It was obviously a bowler's deck. No one really scored highly, did they? But really impressive result.
You don't really learn anything about Hampshire other than their bowling attack is really good.
Breaking.
But maybe I take that away and go, the thing that you've learned is that if Fletcher Middleton's going to be a half-decent opener, this batting unit isn't going to be 2 down pretty quick every single week.
Yeah, absolutely right, mate. So let's move on to the next one. It's the Surrey Lancashire. So this could be a bit of a title decider, isn't it? That's what we're suggesting. 2 of the favourites. So reigning champ Surrey, they got the defence underway against, as we said, title favourites Lancashire. It ended in a draw, a little bit disappointing, but I think Lancashire will most likely be the happier of the 2 teams. Surrey dominated the first 3 days, but at the end couldn't get past the rearguard action of England hopeful Josh Bohannon. 187 ball, 108 was decisive. So let's just quickly look at what happened in the game. So Surrey, 442 first innings, really impressive, I thought. Cameron Steele hit a very good 141 not out. He was a performer on day 2, wasn't he? I think honourable mention. Lancashire applied 291. Skipper Keaton Jennings, another England hopeful, top scoring with 76. And Aussie Sean Abbott doing the most damage for Surrey, 5 for 50 for him. Surrey then followed up 292 for 6 declared, trying to move the game along. And this was the innings all about Ben Folkes, Rob. A fluent 103 off England-worthy strike rate of 108. That's what we want. People want strike rates now, Rob. Not interested in anything else. What's his strike rate? Matt Parkinson, Rob. Do you remember a guy called Matt Parkinson?
I do.
Good. He took 5 for 120 off 25. That's pretty good. We're talking first week of the season, 5 for in the second innings. That's what we want to see from him. 6 in the game for him. This meant Lancashire was set a target of 4 for 4. They batted 87.1 overs. They did not do Bazball, Rob. As we said, Josh Bohannon dropped the anchor down, and then also he was joined by Stephen Croft. A particularly stubborn 54 off 195 deliveries. That's what we want to see. Blockathon to bat out for the draw.
Yeah, I think both teams would take it, but I think everyone watching is probably a little disappointed with them playing out for a draw, particularly with the star-studded show. Burns, Sibley, I put Sibley in that conversation. Burns, Sibley, Pope, Folkes, Smith, Abbott, Roach, Worrell, Jennings, Bohannon, Villas. I'm reading names. Colin de Granholm. It's a star-studded game. And Cameron Steele, to me, stole the show. And this is like completely out of the norm of everyone you would expect in this game to go and score runs. 7 years deep into his county cricket career, his first ton in county cricket since 2018 when he scored 160 versus Sussex. 17 games without scoring 50 all the way back to 2019 with this one. Spent most of his time playing for them, batting at 1, 2 and 3. Moved to 7. It's kind of working out for him quite well. He's averaging 50 there from the games that he's played. Put Matt Parkinson, bounce back year. Relatively quiet after the whole England call-up issue going on. Josh Bohannon had a good winter with England Lions. He was borderline conversation being brought into the team before Bazball said, hey, no one's changing. We're going to go in with the same units. But 2001 to 2023, 1,800 runs at 45, 6 centuries, 1 double ton. 48 strike rate. What's interesting is strike rate was 61 in this game. So maybe a little shift in how he's playing from being I'm a 50 strike rate sort of guy. And Ben Folkes, the tweet out there that we put out about Folkes going, never lets England down, world-class number 7. He scored 1,300 runs in the last few years in county championship cricket, 104 away from home. That's the thing. They're not all oval runs. They're really good runs. How does he not play in the Ashes? Because there is room in an England team that wants to go crazy and score at 6 and over, to have someone that you can build around at different stages of the innings. And I also put Burns and Sibley underwhelming. I was really looking forward to watching those two bat at the start of the innings, bat at the start of day one. And I came away just feeling a little disappointed and go, how far back in the depth chart are they from playing, particularly Sibley?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sibley's made the move, hasn't he? He's returned home to the Oval. I just don't see a future. I mean, Sibley sort of has developed a bit more fluency in his batting, hasn't he, in the last year or so? But I just don't see them anywhere near. We're going to do the depth chart soon, aren't we? Look ahead to the Test summer and roll through all the positions, including the openers. And I'm glad we're waiting a couple of weeks while the county championship gets going, because it's important, really, isn't it? Because then we can see where the likes of Sibley and Burns probably are compared to where they would have been if we'd have done this a couple of weeks ago. Ben Folkes, we have to talk about it. And the reason we're going to talk about it is because everybody else is going to talk about it. The media is going to be talking about it. Every interview is going to be talking about it. They want Johnny Bairstow back in. I know from a very good source that Johnny Bairstow's netting again now. And he's even said himself that he's not sure if he's going to get picked in the, when the first test comes around, because he's looked at what Harry Brook's done. Where is the gap? Ben Folkes has done exceptionally well with bat and gloves, and that's the thing, isn't it? He's an exceptional keeper. And one thing we were really pushing for last year was Bairstow, if he's going to play, give him a spot and let him just stay in that spot. Yeah. We don't want him to take the gloves again. Sneaky old Johnny Bairstow as well. And plus, he don't want to be diving around at his age. He can't even play a game of golf without breaking a leg. Get some bubble wrap on him and just stand him at slip. The conversation is going to be had because there's a reason, because there's a bloke called Johnny Bairstow who had probably one of the best summers ever in Test cricket last year. That's why. There are some elephants in the room in this conversation, and it starts at the top of the order, doesn't it? And we'll get onto them very shortly.
Yes, we will. Title decider. It's kind of like putting Man City, Man United on first game of the Premier League season and expecting a real good game when everyone's not quite firing it.
Yeah, it was 1-1, wasn't it? So, right, let's keep moving. Anyway, let's get over to HQ. We're at Lords, Rob. Middlesex hosted Essex, and a relatively low-scoring affair, wasn't it? But a big win for Essex. Dan Lawrence, a bit of a forgotten man, isn't he, in the conversations anyway about England, but he did spend some time with England in the winter. But he got off the season to a cracking start. 105 off 204 balls. They put a match-high 266. With the ball, Toby Rowland-Jones. Not a bad start for him. 7 for 61. The man likes this time of year. Middlesex responded with 170. Scorecard that saw an impressive, on paper, top four of Robson, Stoneman. I don't know why I'm holding this up. Peter Milan and Eskenazi. All.
Rich is, for those on the podcast, Rich is holding a cup that says quack on it.
Cheers, Middlesex top four. This is for you. That's not the start you want for the summer, is it? But they did have ever reliable John Simpson, 63, and Ryan Higgins, newly arrived back across from, oh my goodness, Kent? No, where's Higgins come from? Gloucestershire. Apologies. He got 70 in his first knock back. Only men in that scorecard, Rob, that hit double figures. That is a proper club cricket scorecard. Jamie Porter, 6 for 35. He's off to a flyer as well for him, off 15 overs. Second innings, 211, then set up a target of 308, which Middlesex could only reach 210, although they did make life hard for Essex, didn't they? It took Shane Snater taking 2 in 2 very late on to get them over the line for a first win at Lords since 2009. Sam Cook and Jamie Porter taking 3 wickets apiece. Solid win for Essex. I'm going to drop another name as well here, because everything's going to be linking back a little bit to the England setup. And a certain player that was very highly rated a few years ago, he made the move from Derbyshire, Rob, Matt Critchley. He's batting at 5 for Essex, and he's got himself 250s in the game. That's a good start for him as well.
That is a good start. I know you're a big Critchley fan. I'm going to pick out Dan Lawrence. So Dan Lawrence played in the West Indies, and he scored 91 in the West Indies. I think it was in the first test, and he threw his wicket away on the verge of a really good 100. Didn't really score any runs in the rest of the series. Averaged 31. I think he got injured, got dropped, can't get back in the team. You're behind a long conveyor belt of good middle order players in good form. His 2022 was pretty much his worst in county championship cricket. He averaged 22. That's not going to do you very well. 3.86 below the top 6 match average for the games he plays in, which is made better by the fact that Simon Harmer's in your team, so that average is always going to be low. But that was hard. He's bouncing back, and the batting was hard. It wasn't always easy for him this innings. I watched quite a bit of the game. He had moments where he really had to dig in, and then he had those moments where he's fluent, Dan Lawrence, where he's tracking the bowler, sticking him over cover, playing it down the ground, playing on one knee. When he takes it to the attack, he's everything an England team under McCullum and Stokes are going to want. How is he going to get in that team? I don't know. But that's a conversation for another day. But this is a big year for him, and this is an absolutely wonderful start. On the other end, you've got Middlesex's top order, 4 for 4, 3 for 15. They were a really poor team in 2021, that top six. 2022, they bounced back. Top six average 40 last year. You say 40 is great. Well, actually, it was the 7th worst in Division 2, and they still got promoted. Only just behind Leicestershire, top 6 batsmen in Division 2 last year average 40. So on paper, it's a decent lineup, but they've got issues. They've got issues that kind of hang over a little bit, and particularly for Essex, where they've got two really good young bowlers that can take wickets. Porter and Cook are exceptional. Shane Snaith is sneakily underrated. They'll always nab someone, and they just put the backs against the wall. And good old Jamie Porter, like a few years ago, he was kind of like a hot take, wasn't he? He's potential England conversation. 19 wickets at 30 in the last few years, which is 4.46 worse than the bowlers in the games that he's played in, which is a problem because Essex have been pretty good. With this, I felt watching the game, he was challenging. He was bowling a really good line. He was moving the ball around. 6 for 35, third best career figures that he's got in his first fifer since 2020. So you can't ask anything more than that. He was just challenging in what you want to do. And given that we talk about baseball and we automatically think about batting, it's actually about bowling. It's about taking 20 wickets. And that's, I think, that Stokes goes really under the radar in the qualities that he's bought. Take 20 wickets. Jamie Porter showing how you can take 20 wickets in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really important point, isn't it? It's not just about the batting, is it? That the whole McCullum-Stokes ethos. It's do everything positively, no matter what you do. Soak up pressure positively, react positively, defend positively, attack positively. But in the fielding side of it, in bowling, what's the point of the game? It's to take wickets. That's it. So it's a really important point. And it's great to see Porter doing quite well. And they've got Dougie B coming in next week, Rob. Strength to strength, adding to that seam attack.
Yep, definitely. Head in the right direction.
Excellent. Right, keep going. Kent, Northants. Rob, Kent scored a 117-run win over Northamptonshire, overcoming a 227-run target thanks to unbeaten knocks from Ben Compton, that man again, and Jack Leaning. 114 for Compton, 67. Real kind of good and bad performance from them. 117 all out in the first innings, followed by a much improved 331 in their second. Rob Keogh, top scorer with 116 not out, whilst Gareth Berg got 56. Debutant for Northants, Hassan Azad, 51. Great to see him in the runs as well. With the ball, Aussie Chris Tremaine was impressive on his debut, taking the first innings 5 for 44. Little England watch here as well. Opener Zach Crawley hit 91 in Kent's first knock. So a wonderful win for Kent. It could be a key win when we look at the table at the end of the season. And just 1 point for me from England Watch. Rob Keogh, England Watch, right. We put out tweets every day at the end of play for players that were on the England radar. 1 or 2, Nick Gubbins, yeah, all right, might not be there. But Rob Keogh, there was a lot of people saying, where's Rob Keogh? If anyone wants to tell me he's on the England radar, I will happily stand down now. He did really well by getting his 100. But I'm sorry, Rob, are we in the wrong here for excluding Rob Keogh off England Watch?
I don't think we are. He's an all rounder. He bowls spin. He's got a career county championship average of 43, although he averaged 30 with the ball last year, which was pretty reasonable. Yeah. But his batting has improved alongside his bowling, to be fair, from his career average. Yeah. 3 tons last year, 2 in 2021, and he's started with a bang here. And to be fair, gave his team an opportunity of winning. Crawl is the one we're going to touch on. Okay, so he's got no county championship century since 2020 when he scored 105 against Hampshire. Since then, 1,198 runs at an average of 31, 11 50s, a strike rate of 53, and a balls per dismissal of 58, averaging 3 less than the top 6 for the matches that he played in. Those stats, to me, when I look at them, they're almost like his test match stats. Like, there's a guy his strike rate's probably a bit better in Test cricket. I think it's about 63, but it's not a guy that you're looking like when Ben Duckett came in. It's going away and averaging 60, and his strike rate 60 or 70. It's completely different ends of the spectrum here. And you could see it in the second innings dismissal where you've seen it in Test cricket. He plays these big boot drives, beautiful when they come off. But when you see him tracking Mohammed Abbas and nicking off, it doesn't quite work. And here he got one that came in a little bit and got cleaned up. So massive work to do. Really has to score centuries. 91 looks great, but does anyone listen unless it's got 3 digits?
No. And that second innings dismissal, we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
A big booming drive, massive gap. You could drive a car between his pad and bat, and he gets cleaned up. And I like Zach Crawley. I want to see Zach Crawley in the Test side playing really well. He's got so many attributes. But we see the same dismissals time and time again, don't we?
It's quite difficult. Ben Compton, more of the same of last year, averaging 57 since the start of last year, 5 tons, mate. Putting on the other spectrum, 141 balls per dismissal, like over twice, almost 3 times the amount of Crawley, if my maths is anywhere near, but also a match average of plus 16 in that time. Grit, determination, stand-up ability to when it's hard and make runs when it really matters. And if you remember last year, April and May, he was absolutely lights out. And he started again here. Also added a little bit of fluency, I thought, in the highlights package that I watched about it. I can't look at this game without coming back to Crawley. Kent are going to be happy that they've won the game of cricket. But from an England perspective, I look at it and I go, Zach. I want you to do well because I think you can be a huge asset against the Australian new ball and really offer like a point of difference to what we've had previously against them.
Absolutely right. Yeah, that'll do. Right, let's wrap up Division 1, Rob. Somerset, Warwickshire, drawn match. Game that never really got going, weather impacted. There was even concerns in the build-up about the wet outfield. Apparently, they were even contacting Warwickshire to see if they could swap the fixture around because it was so damp in Taunton. So a game that only really got halfway through its 3rd innings. We'll have a quick look. 284 for Somerset and 180 for 6. Warwickshire's single innings of 392 was very impressive. Cam Bancroft, 44, Aussie watch for Somerset, but 65, Lewis Gregory was the top scorer of that one. Wickets shared across that pretty impressive bowling attack, isn't it? Oliver Hannon-Dolby, Chris Rushworth, Hassan Ali and Ed Barnard. Excellent attack, that is. For Warwickshire, though, a couple of centurions, Rob. Alex Davis, 118 off 153 opening up, and Sam Hain, 119 off 269, a much more steady 100 when we look at that strike rate. 4 wickets for Jack Leach. How dare you, Rob, miss him off on the day when I was watching Nottingham Forest get beat again, so I couldn't do the England watch. Rob had to do it, and he missed Jack Leach. He hates Jack Leach, everybody. I don't know. Just give Rob pelters for that. And then the second innings didn't get going. It was nice to see Tom Lammonby, though, take his time. 66 off 120 from the number 1 position, not out. Carried his bat through to the close of play. It ended up being a bit of a sort of warm-up game, didn't it, really? So, shame we couldn't see a bit more cricket in that one. It could have gone into a really, really interesting finish, but a drawn game nonetheless.
Drawn game nonetheless. Standouts, it's got to be Sam Hain. On the England radar, he was exceptional last year. 1,137 runs, 3rd in Division 1, average of 63, 3 centuries, and a really classy 119. Interesting watching him play because he's had some white ball contracts overseas in T20 cricket now, so he's obviously got the ability to go, but his first class game is so solid. It's so pre-Brendan McCullum and Stokes that it's beautiful. Absolutely love watching him bat. He's an absolute class act. And I thought Alex Davis was real good. 2nd century since moving to Warwickshire from Lancashire. Last one was actually versus Lancashire, his 121 last year. And that 133-run partnership was really the mainstay of a bit of a damp squid about the game. I've put about Warwickshire going, it's all going to be about the bowling. It's a good attack. Rushworth, Hannon-Dolby, Hassan Ali, Ed Barnard. Jacob Bethel bowling a few overs of spin. I did make a note on Tom Lammonby's 66. Still not certain on opening in County Championship cricket. Record's pretty poor since that Bob Willis Trophy final ton. And Cam Bancroft continues to not do very well in county cricket. Average 22 in this game. County Championship average of 36 overall. Should be better. But that's based on having 2 good seasons and 2 really poor seasons. What are you going to get this year?
Absolutely. Does he want to play in the Ashes? Big question. Come on, Cam. Right, that's Division 1. Some good performances, good wins, etc. Yeah, I don't think we're any closer to knowing who's going to be good and who's going to be bad yet. So bring on round 2, where we might get a bit more clarity. But we need to get into the big stories now, Rob. The biggest of big stories and the best finish of the first round of the County Championship was at Headingley, Rob. Leicestershire, historic win over Division 2 favourites Yorkshire. We've got to say they're favourites because everyone's saying they're going to go up. Chris Wright, he was the man at 8, batting at 8. The commentators were saying he's not a bad 10, he's an okay 9, but he's not really an 8. Well, he saw them home. A flurry of boundaries. I think I tweeted he looked like a peak Joss Butler at the end there. He ramped to 4 to get them over the line and get their first win at Headingley since 1913. Herbert Asquith is his name, was apparently the Prime Minister, Liberal Prime Minister at the time. Women couldn't vote and Florence Nightingale was still alive. Thank you, Mark Puttick, for that on Twitter. Unbelievable game for them. Aussie run machine Peter Hanscom, he capped off a great Leicestershire debut for them as well, helping to see them home with an unbeaten 68 to go with his first innings, 101 ball, 112, Rob. So a hell of a game for Hanscom, who has really struggled in county cricket before this. This could be his county, his 5th. So hopefully he hasn't got many more to get through. This was the big news, wasn't it, really? And on day 1, talking of big news, was the first centurion of the season, was a certain Finlay Bean, 20-year-old opener. There could be a conversation to be had to say that probably this lad's going to go on and play for England at some point. By the time Root's ready to finish up in a few years, maybe, if he is, Finlay Bean might be there to replace him. Poor old Yorkshire, the best players just get stolen. Harry Brook, Bairstow, Root, Bean could be next, but I think we was told to stay away from him for a while, wasn't we? And the England set up as well. So England racked up 517, didn't they? Thanks to that being 100, but also Dawid Malan, he got three figures, top score of 132. We had a great night watchman or night hawk, depending on what we call it now, from a certain Matt Milnes, Rob. He hit 75. That was an excellent knock from him. With the ball for Leicester, England starlet Rayan Ahmed, 3 for 89 was a pick of the bowlers. Ahmed then, he wasted no time getting his season up and running, Rob. With the bat, a fluent 85 off 121. This man is going to be an all-rounder for England. Yorkshire then did move the game along. 286 for 8 declared. West Indian debutant we spoke about earlier, Shai Hope. He top scored with 83, straight off the plane, straight in and performing really well for Yorkshire. And promising all-rounder George Hill also hit 67. So 389 was set, Rob. Leicestershire, we know what happened, but how did it happen? Rishi Patel, 125, a career high at the top of the order. An excellent knock from him. He laid the foundations. Along with Sol Buddiger, a pretty brisk 41 that got him off to a flyer. He came across from Notts this winter. Colin Ackerman as well, 72, ever reliable. And then it was the Hanscom Wright combo that got him over the line. Just some really, really positive batting. Excellent stuff. A little note as well, Dom Bess, 5 wickets in the second innings as Yorkshire tried in vain to stop this Leicestershire charge.
What a game of cricket.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Every single what's going to happen this year, it's Yorkshire promoted and Leicestershire wooden spoon. And we were exactly the same. And then they go and do this. I'm going to walk through some players to call out. Finlay Bean obviously looked $1 million. Like, he looks so classy. I made notes saying superb on the drive, on drive, cover drive, straight drive. Big wrist, whipping it off the legs as well. Big fan of that. And he was going about a run of ball, 80 off about 80, and then slowed down towards the end. For those that don't know, that's lived under a rock, he set the County Championship second 11 record last year, scoring 441 against Notts' second 11, against a decent attacker. Brett Hutton and Joey Everson played in that game. 721 runs in the Yorkshire Prem last year for York at an average of 45. That's quite a good deal. And actually played for England Young Lions all the way back in under 19. So kind of on the radar, and played against Ravi Bishnoi, who's playing in the IPL at the moment. So highly thought of, 4 games into his career, played an absolute blinder of a knock to open the batting here. Dawid Malan, since his move to Yorkshire as well, 1,200 runs at an average of 67 and a plus 29 average compared to top 6 batters in the games that he's played on. And you could see them working together, and how good for little Finlay Bean, little Finlay Bean, about 6'2", batting with Dawid Malan. That's pretty good knowledge to impart onto someone. And I also put question mark Malan, the best cover drive in the game. When he's fluent through cover, it's an out of body experience. Hanscom, I talked about him being really poor and potentially a money saving overseas player, which is completely derogatory, but it was completely tongue in cheek at the same time. He held the innings together. It's only his second county championship century and his first since 2017. So that is a big day for him. Rian Ahmed, the batter. I've put, and this is completely preempting, I've put Steve Smith's situation, where you end up with someone that's better at batting than what they are as bowling that comes in as a bowler. And that is not knocking his bowling. However, his bowling to Finlay being on day one was pretty woeful. Lots of full tosses thrown in. But his confidence as a cricketer is just going to keep growing and growing and go through the roof. Love watching him bat. So much time, so much ability. And Patel, first county championship century from 31 innings. He had moments last year. He threw away a 99 against Sussex and 82 against Glamorgan, but taking it to the next level. And what I liked, he batted at a decent strike rate, a 50-60 strike rate, and everyone accelerated around him. It's good cricket. Good old Leicestershire. Enjoy your day in the sun.
Absolutely. It's important points you made there, Rian Ahmed. He's going to find the odd game, the odd innings, the odd spell difficult. And it's growing pains, isn't it? It's not going to be a perfect trajectory for him. So it's good that he goes through that, because then he's got a little bit more in his armour and in his mind to go, okay, this is how I recovered from that spell. This is what I did afterwards. Yeah. So that's fantastic, I think, to see from him. Hanscom, this is not the old Hanscom, Rob. This is a new improved Hanscom. It's a new recipe Hanscom. This guy, Sheffield Shield run machine, 200 plus runs more than anybody else in Sheffield Shield this winter. The man is born again. Leicestershire is his county, clearly. And David Milan, then you say he's got the question, is that he's the finest cover drive. What is he on the Ian Bella meter driving? If Ian Bell is the 10, where is Milan on that scale, Robert?
Ian Bell's is more pleasing to watch from a cricket purist, and I think David Milan's is possibly the most fluent cover drive I've ever seen.
So where is it? Sorry, on the scale of probably yours. No, I'm joking. To Ian Bell at 10, where's Milan then? Are you saying he's on a par?
Through the leg side. Nothing's going to be better than Ian Bell's cover drive. Nothing. But it's a close second.
Ooh, 9.5. Love it. Right, we saw one remarkable win, Rob, and we saw a second. I don't want to say remarkable necessarily, because they're two very, very even teams in some respects for Sussex and Durham. But Sussex got their first win in the opening week of the season since 2015, Rob. Overcoming 232 set by Durham to win by 2 wickets. It was a nervy end, but young wicketkeeper Ollie Carter, 33 not out, eventually did get him over the line. Durham's first innings, 376, good start. Alex Lees played really positively for 79. He played England Lions this winter, and Jamie Smith spoke about when he was batting with Alex Lees. Alex Lees understands what McCullum and Stokes wants. It didn't quite click for him last summer, did it? But he knows what it's all about, and I don't think we can discount Alex Lees from returning to the England setup at some point. Michael Jones, 87. Aussie Nathan McAndrew with the ball over Sussex. 5 for 85, and I'm going to put a question to you. Could he be a difference maker in a Sussex side, Rob, that has never struggled for runs in the last couple of years, but with the ball is where they had their difficulty? Indian run machine, though, Cheteshwar Pujara got off to a flyer again, 115 for him after a stunning summer last year for Sussex. Innings goes 3-3-5. Durham's second knock of just 189 allowed Sussex back in, thanks to 4 wickets apiece from Finn Hudson-Prentice and Henry Crocombe. Hudson-Prentice are going to be a very important player for them after missing last season. Good to see promising opener Tom Haynes putting in a good second innings knock of 64 as that began the chase down the target before 20-year-old Ollie Carter did the rest. Durham, promising start for Aussie spinner Matthew Kuhneman, taking 6 wickets in the game, and it was him and Bryden Cast that really put the pressure on the Sussex batsman as that chase was progressing. But good win for Sussex, and congrats to him. I'm a big fan of their setup, the way it's looking with all those young players.
Yeah, definitely. I think Durham actually are going to be quite gutted to lose this, because they've got high expectations around what they're going to do. They've got Lees back. Jones had a breakout year last year. Bedingham has been consistently good, with last year probably his worst season on record. OG Robinson coming in from Kent's a big plus point for their top 6. But then the bowling attack of Carse, Rain, Potts, Cunningham, that's a really good bowling attack to be playing Division 2 cricket, if you ask me. And more power to Sussex, because they really stopped Potts from taking over the game, which he did so often last year. He was superb. Durham's batting was pretty good in this game, you've got to say. Jones scoring runs, a couple of centuries last year, high strike rate, playing for Scotland, doing some really good things. He looked great. Lees looked great. What would have looked better for Lees? Probably the same thing as Zach Crawley, and that would have been scoring 100. And that it's so strange, and it's such a thing about cricket that's completely irrational. But if you score 99 at the end of your career, no one cares. But if you scored 100 and it ticks over another box on the stat sheet, then people listen. And the same, going, who got the runs? Oh, Lee's got 100. You go, oh no, Lee's got 50. Completely different conversation and quite irrationally. But they will like about how he's playing the game, scoring at that 70, 80, 90 strike rate is going to be really big for him trying to get back into the England team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, let's keep it moving, Rob. Wrap it up. 2 more games to go to get to the end of round 1. We'll go to Cardiff first. Gloucestershire against Glamorgan, Rob. This was a drawn game. Target of 331 was set in the end, wasn't it, for Glamorgan? 110 for 3, nowhere near. Just one of those games where they just ran out of time. But just a quick look through. Gloucester 165 and 569 for 7. Glamorgan 404 plus that 110 for 3. Notable performers: Marcus Harris, the Aussie, 59 opening for Gloucestershire. He then got 148 in the second innings. Chris Dent, 78. Chris Dent, Rob, question mark: is he on the radar for England?
No, yes, no? I feel it's gone. I feel he should have been picked, but probably 2-3 years, 4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tim van der Gooten, 5 for 26 off 17 overs, excellent with the new ball for Glamorgan there. He also opens the batting as well. Got a duck. Yeah, he did all right. Kieran Carlson, I was really pleased to see him come back, Rob, actually. Just as we're picking it apart a little bit. 106, really good for him. And Billy Root, Joe's brother, 117 not out. Just looking through, 148, as I said, for Marcus Harris, really good. And Graham Van Buren, the captain, 110. It was a weird game, wasn't it, this one, really? It was quite far off a result. You look in the second innings of that chase, there was nowhere near. Eddie Byron, 36 off 100 deliveries, weren't really anywhere near going for it or getting there. So it's just one of those games where, if you went to the game, if you're a Glamorgan or Gloucestershire fan, you can dig into this one. But for us, when we're looking at it, unless you've got something else to pick, it was just one of those games which just, we move on. Round 2, let's go again.
Yeah, definitely. Marcus Harris, most runs in the country, 207 runs in the game. That's a pretty good effort. And Graham Van Buren averaged 27 last year. 27. He's a better player than averaging 27, so good for him to go and get some runs. I was really impressed watching some of the highlights, and I caught a little bit of it live while I was flicking. Really impressed by Tom Price. I thought he looked really good in this game. He is on the ones to watch.
He was our one to watch for this team.
Gloucestershire will win some games of cricket with this team this year, particularly with Price, who I think is good. Zafar Kofar's possibly going to be the best spinner in the division, and Marchant DeLang's probably going to be the fastest bowler in the division. So with that mixture, you should be in a position to win some games. Kieran Carlson scoring 100 that's great for him. He's got a career average of 30. He's better than that. He averaged 48 in 2021. But they've been bookended by averaging 13 in the COVID year of 2020 and 23 last year. Strong player, great risks, love good risks. I'd expect better from him this year because he's better than what he's shown people he can be. And Billy Root, 5th season at Glamorgan, mate. 5 seasons since he left Notts. First ton since 2021. Interesting enough, comfortable batting at number 6. He's averaging 49 in his career there. Most of that coming his time at Glamorgan and settling in quite nicely to that middle order. Van der Gooten was pumped. Like, if you watch the highlights, he's pumped. He's genuinely pumped as he ran through that Gloucestershire middle order. He got Hammond LBW, Van Buren LBW, Price LBW, and Taylor LBW all within about 10 minutes. It was absolutely awesome. Love people being fired up. Dan Douthwaite as well, quick touch on him. Exceptional strike rate, really poor average and economy rate. So someone that can come in, take wickets, bowled 10 overs here, 2 for 44 in 1 innings. The sort of guy that can come in and potentially change the game with a spell, but I wouldn't want him bowling 22 overs like he did in the Gloucestershire second innings. I think he's a guy that bowls shorter spells, come on, take a wicket, get off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what I would say, games like that where we haven't, we can't put a focus on every single game, can we? So, I think another week, Gloucester, Glamorgan, they are teams that are going to be pushing for promotion, so they'll be more of our focus. But when you've got Leicestershire winning, Sussex winning, that's the story, isn't it, in Division 2?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, right, let's finish it off, Rob. Derbyshire, we're in Derby. Worcestershire won by 8 wickets, and thanks in large part to, I think it's a 139 run partnership from Jake Libby, who got finished 104 not out, and Azhar Ali 62. Jack Haynes as well, he was there at the end, 10 not out to get them over the line to go with his very impressive 62. Matthew Waite for Worcestershire, a bit of a breakout game for him, 109. I think, was that his first 100? I'm sure you'll tell me in a moment if it was. But a really, really good performance from Worcester. Really solid win. Derbyshire, I put them down as going up this year, and I'm a little bit concerned after that first round.
I think I put Derbyshire in the conversation, and I think we both looked at Worcestershire and went, they're not bad. The batting's not bad. The bowling's not bad.
Yeah.
But, they're probably not going to be up there. And then they go and do this. Matthew Waite, yes, his first century. Also, a fantastic run out of his captain, D'Oliveira, who was on 87 at the time. He ran him out, and D'Oliveira threw an absolute. You could see he was fuming when he walked off. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't. I need to look at it though. Did the bat go when he got into the dressing room? Could you hear the thud?
Probably. I didn't see that, but I did see him do a massive jump and a kick. So he's obviously feeling it. Jake Libby returned to pre-2022, 404 to win the game. 8 centuries since 2020. 3 centuries in April in that time at an average of 68. The move from Notts has been very, very good for him. Bowler-wise for them, I've just put all-round pretty decent. Leach, Waite, Tong, Gibbon, D'Oliveira. They're going to take wickets as the season goes by. No one really let them down during this game. I don't think no one is really going to let them down throughout the season. No. Derbyshire, not horrendous, but lacked runs from the 2 guys that I put into my fantasy team from Derbyshire. Anuj Dal, who had an exceptional last year, and Brooke Guest batting at number 3, wicketkeeper batter, had a really good year last year. Both of them with 2 big fails. Last year,
Sorry, go on. No, I was just going to say Derbyshire. Really, when you look at that batting card, they've posted decent scores: 3-2-1 and 3-4-3. That's not bad early April first round of county championship scores, is it? But just by letting Worcestershire get a really good lead, 150 lead, as the game moved into its 3rd innings, you're always going to be behind it. But it's one of those performances where I don't want to say worried, but I'm worried because I said they were going to be number 1. They were going to go up as champions of Division 2. This is just a little bit under par, but yeah, just I'll let you carry on talking. But Zach Chappell as well, I thought that was a good performance. He took 5 wickets for them in the first innings and got a few runs down at about 8 or 9 as well. So plenty of hope for Derbyshire, but a really good win for Worcestershire. But you carry on, Rob.
The way they're going to get promoted is to win games, and to win games, you've got to take 20 wickets.
Yes.
The average 57 with the ball this game. That's the worst in the country. That's not going to win you many games of cricket. The average 38 last year in Division 2. That was the third worst, and they had a 96 strike rate in this game. So there's holes there. Chappell, fantastic. 5 wickets. I said in the preview pod saying, is he an upgrade? ? Because he's not taken a fifer since 2018 and not played a hell of a lot of cricket. Well, he did pretty well. If he finishes the season taking 3 wickets per innings and averaging 18, he's going to be the happiest man in county championship cricket. He's reinvigorated his career. I said that Lackmar was really poor last year. I thought Lackmar was really poor in this game. And Connors and Aitchison are those 2 young bowlers that you're just hoping are going to take the next step to get them a little bit closer. But to win games, the bowling has to be better. Got to be better, because there's definite quality in that batting lineup. Haydar Ali's a great signing as well. Brooke Guest, if he can get going, Anuj Dal. Deploy's good. Madsen's been fantastic. I think he's the top run scorer in the last decade of county championship cricket. So there's a lot to like about it. But to win games, you've got to be better with the ball.
Absolutely. I think the final word needs to go to Worcestershire, really, because they did get this impressive win. And again, looking through the card, Pollock, Libby, Azhar Ali, Jack Haynes, Adam Hose coming across from Worcestershire, hell of a white ball player, D'Oliveira, Roderick, Waite got 100. That's a good card, and the bowling attack as well. Young Ben Gibbon, great to see Josh Tong back after his injury situation over the last few years. Joe Leach is still doing it. There's a lot to like with Worcester as well. It's like when we did the preview, we just couldn't quite see on paper where, especially if we had Jake Libby from last year, where the runs are going to come from. it's a fantastic win for them, and a bit like Leicestershire. It's okay, now you have our attention.
Yeah, it makes it interesting, because if you want to do a hey, stop the count conversation, Leicestershire are top of the table with Worcestershire in second.
Yes, I love that. So that wraps us up, Rob. That gets us everywhere we need to be in the county championship this year so far. So I don't know if you've got fixtures in front of you, have you, for next week?
I don't have the fixtures in front of me, but what I do have is some tweets of going, what do we think from round one? I'm just going to run through these. Question, Ben Everton. More of a question, why do Essex keep getting overseas seamers when they have two of the best in the country and a good third and fourth option? Great question. We asked the same at the top of the podcast. Jamie Jones, am I the only one thoroughly disappointed with Somerset's performance once again? Probably, but I enjoy the season more than most of the loons on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, well, it was just a bit of a damp squib of a game, wasn't it? So it was a little bit of an unfair game to really get your teeth into, wasn't it? Because it just never got going. So.
Yeah. This is a good one. Jolly 767. Did the umpires at Hampshire need a poo when they took the players off with scores level for lunch or tea, whichever one it was? What's the inside story? What's the scoop, Rich?
What? I don't know. I don't want to use what's the scoop if that was the question.
Steve Price, England hopefuls, Overton and Potts both had poor games. Overton was that poor, he's not even got a mention on this.
Yeah, zero.
Flat pitches, softballs, or just poor bowling? Question mark.
Well, Potts, 2 for 50 was it in the first innings? Looked pretty good, and then wicketless in the second inning. He was out bowled, wasn't he? I mean, they got the spinners going, didn't they? Matt Kuhneman, who's just picked for Australia over the winter, he was the biggest threat with the ballers. They were trying to bowl out Sussex. But yeah, Matty Potts 0 wickets in the second innings is a bit of a surprise to me. So it's difficult, isn't it? It's such a small sample size. Once we get into week 2, this time next week when we're talking about the round 2. If we're seeing the same things, we have a trend. At the moment, it's just a one-off. So it'll be interesting to see how people return, how people come back. Bowlers have got some overs in their legs now as well. Some bowlers maybe just take a little bit of time to get going in the year, conditions, etc. But there's some good players in there. Matty Potts, he's a solid performer, so I'd expect him to perform next week.
2 more before we leave you. Debbie Knight, wow. Just wow on Leicestershire CCC for starters, and maybe a discussion about the need for a brave declaration to ensure a result with points for a draw now dropped.
I think absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, they opened themselves up. Yorkshire did open themselves up to lose the game. They backed themselves to win the game with their bowling attack, but the risk is, like England have shown, if you do declare aggressively, you open up the loss, don't you? It's not the old safe declarations anymore, and that's what we want to see. Which game was it? I forget which one it was now, where it was a really easy declaration. Well, not was it 4-4-4 this set, and they just didn't bother chasing it. That was the
Lancashire.
Lancashire, yeah, of course it was. Yeah. Sorry, we spoke about too many games, and it's still early here. So,
No, that's exactly. It should be incentivised to win a game. That's one way you probably go, take a draw against the best team in the league. But Yorkshire would have put all the bets on going, we can beat Leicestershire. We're good enough to beat Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And the last one, it's just come in from James, 6 in the can. Middlesex top order to get an Audi official sponsored car. Because the Audi logo is 0000.
Nice. I think we'll leave it at that, mate. That's a great final word.
We will. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed it. You'll find all our socials down below. We're always tweeting at Leading Edge Pod. You can find us on every single podcast platform going. And we are going to catch you next time for County Championship action round 2.